Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Brew City Lounge. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you are on the live feed on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I am your host, Brandon. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Wisco_Brandon. Also, do not forget to follow the show wherever you have social media. We are now on Instagram. I'm still figuring out Instagram. You can follow us on all social media platforms at Brew City Pod. Very excited for you guys to be tuning in. If you are listening on your smart device, wherever you may get your podcast, keep in mind the Brew City Lounge is available wherever you can get your podcast. Thank you guys so much, and thank you for giving the show a listen. It is an absolute honor and privilege to be here to be talking about our favorite teams. Of course, as you can see, I still haven't taken it off my head. We are talking about those world champion Milwaukee Bucks and those first place Milwaukee Brewers. They do make a trade today. We'll talk about that. The Milwaukee Bucks, Ben, I checked last, they're still world champions. Nothing's changed. We'll talk a little bit about the celebration, but I am joined by a very special guest. Bringing in the special guest of the show, as always, brought to you by the good folks over at One Call Technology. Give them a call at 888-585-8850 for all your cable and telecom needs. The voice heard around the world. The man who sings our national anthem for the Bucks and Brewers and is the good luck charm for our Milwaukee Bucks. Ben Tajnai. Ben, thank you so much for coming in on the show. The Milwaukee Bucks are world champions. How are you doing this evening?
Oh man, I'm doing great. Well, thanks for having me on, man. This is great. I got the Brewers on in the background. They're up 6-0 right now against the Pirates. Can't complain about that. So everything's looking up for us in Wisconsin. Am I right?
It has been, and we'll get into your role with the Bucks. I do want to start from the beginning with this Bucks. People are pouring in these comments. They're not for me. Everybody, Christy, my mom's on there. Thank you guys so much. They're all saying hi to Ben. They all came for you tonight. We'll start at the beginning with this Bucks team. You go back to this offseason, Ben, and it's real easy. We can sit here and say, well, no, we never thought they were going to be champions. It was kind of a wild offseason. When you talk about the season ended with the bubble, and then it started up right away. And then you had the Bogdanovich trade that kind of got nixed. You get Drew Holiday. And then the dark cloud over everybody's head was, was Giannis going to sign that Supermax? Right. Take me through a little bit of your mindset in that offseason. I mean, what was kind of going on in your head during that Bucks offseason? It was just crazy.
Yeah, so I've been singing national anthem for the Bucks for 6 years, but I've been a fan of the Bucks for my entire life. I've been going to games my whole life. And, so I was actually singing a lot of the games when they lost, when they ended up losing to the Raptors that year. What was that, like 2 years ago?
Yep.
Like, the year
2019.
before the bubble, whatever you call that. And then the bubble year, it's like, they actually took my national anthem and put it in the bubble. I was actually in the bubble with on a screen or whatever. It wasn't live. It was all recorded. So I just felt so disconnected to that, as far as national anthem wise. But as far as the off season, like you said, I was a huge fan of the Drew Holiday move. I was right away. I liked him because I knew he was a little bit more clutch, a little bit more consistent than Bledsoe. And I was really excited about the opportunity to have him. I saw what he was doing with AD over in New Orleans. I really liked what he was doing, and I was really excited. And then of course the Bogdanovich. I was disappointed when that fell through. I'm not gonna lie. I was a fan of that trade. I was texting my bros and we were real excited about that one. And then all of a sudden they're like, "Wait a minute." We're like, "What is going on?" Somehow it didn't go through. I still don't really fully understand what happened there, but I really felt good about some of those upgrades that we made. Like again, namely Drew Holiday, and obviously when we signed Giannis, my wife called me and she was so excited, and then when she walked in the door, she was crying.
Oh, that's awesome!
She was so excited. She was crying, and I was kind of like, I'll tell you what, I'll be crying with you when they win the whole thing.
Yes.
Then I'll cry. For now, I'm excited we signed him. Don't get me wrong, but he's, I've gotten the chance to meet and talk with Giannis quite a bit over the years, and
you're just coming on the podcast to make me jealous, Ben. It's okay.
That's exactly.
Okay. I'm just kidding.
But I just wanted to say that he's the real deal as a human being. Obviously we all know how amazing he is on the court. He's called the Freak for a reason, as whoever said that, Bobby Porter, whoever Drew Holiday talked about the nickname, whatever it was. But he's such a good guy. He's such a guy. You see story after story about things he's done and with people in the community, and and just the way he's treated me, and and I'm so happy that we are so lucky, and I feel like some people take it for granted of having that guy signed. I mean, that was huge. He's a big deal.
Yeah, I'll be completely honest with you, and I hope nobody from my job is listening. When that first broke, that story about Giannis signing the Supermax. Now, I've talked to people about it before, and I said it's the most confident but not confident thing that I was prepared for, because his loyalty, as you can see in the banner there, it's unmatched. Like the guy, when he says something, like it's coming from his heart. We've seen it in the press game and in the post game conferences. Like the guy is as real as it gets. He's by far my favorite athlete. He's, I said this on my show before, Ben. My kids know this. I love him as much as I love my children. I love that guy, and I've never met him. But I remember being at work, and I remember when the news broke that Giannis was signing the Supermax. Now, I'm not rich. I got plenty of bills. I made sure that I went to Mayfair Mall to buy. I bought my mom a free cat, and I bought a pair of freak shoes because
awesome.
I don't play basketball. I was in the Army for a long time, and my body will not allow me to play sports anymore. But I wanted to it was a little bit of what I could do to say thank you for a guy that, hey, he's come here. Right. We didn't know what he was going to be. He was a kid when he was drafted. There's stories not going around, but stories of a lady that picked him up on the side of the street because he was running to practice, and he was dressed in jeans and a t-shirt, and it was January.
Isn't that crazy?
and it just feels like he's part of us. Like, you know what I mean? Like he can't go anywhere without being, unnoticed. He's super popular, one of the richest, athletes in the world, but you wouldn't know by talking with him. And I was so excited. You're right. We do take it for granted. We've been spoiled as Packer fans with 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. We've got Christian Yelich. We had Ryan Braun. We've never had, I was on somebody else's podcast. We've never had a Giannis though. We've never, as a Bucks fan, as you know, as just as well as I know, we've never had that guy where, he was a fortified, most valuable, player of the league, had his own shoe and was the best. And now he's ours. And I just remember being so overcome with like joy and, I don't know. It was one of those crazy days where you'll never forget where you were.
Yeah, well, and the other thing I want to add to that is that's all great points, Brandon. I think another thing I'm going to add to that is he really is a true like rags to riches story. I mean, I know a lot of people know everything about him, but you talk about that lady who picked him up. I mean, the guy, when he was starting, he sent every single penny he ever made over to Bruce. I mean, I know his mom well. She's a great lady. I've talked to her. I was just talking to her yesterday. And she's just obviously overjoyed. But I'm telling you, like he was sending every penny that he made in the NBA when he wasn't making as much, obviously, as he is now. And that's why this kid was walking to the stadium in these jeans and this t-shirt or whatever, because he just had nothing. I mean, he really did come from nothing. They were a total like typical, at the end of the day, typical poor family. And he came here and he, as soon as he had enough money, everybody else, his whole family was out here. And it's just such a cool story. And I think that's where his humility comes from. He talks about, I know you listen to his interviews, like he talks about staying humble all the time. He just wants to stay humble. That's why he likes Milwaukee. Cause we're as Bobby Porter said, a blue collar town. Like we're, that's what Giannis notices. Like he that's why the LA scene, and I'm not saying he'll never go there, but at the end of the day, the LA scene, all that, he's totally like meant for this kind of area. Humility and having fun and getting a couple beers with the friends, like whatever. Like that's the kind of he's just like a cool guy, and that's why I'm so happy. I mean, I'll take him over. I like some of these stars, but I'll take him over LeBron. Let's go. I like Giannis, man.
I will take him over anybody. And
that's the thing.
And I remember, we all wanted the Bucks to win, and we'll talk about, the championship run in a minute.
Right.
We can, glush over Giannis for a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt.
When you talk about a guy though, that you want to win and you talk about your team, my team, our team, both of us and a lot of people listening are Bucks fans, but it meant something different when it was Giannis, because like you said, it's a guy that literally grew up here. Like doesn't. I mean, he had a smoothie for the first time in America, and everybody remembers it. And you know, like you saw a kid really he was an 18-year-old. He was a kid, just kind of morph into this, you know, superstar. But he was our superstar, and I'm with you. I would take him. You know, over anybody. So. Going into the Supermax is signed. Giannis signs a Supermax. Now going into the season, did you have any expectations for this Bucks team that maybe were too high, maybe too low going into the season?
Yeah, I felt more confident about them this year than I did about them last year because I don't like to throw anybody under the bus, but I wasn't a huge Eric Bledsoe fan as far as his game. I really liked the Drew Holiday trade there, and I was really feeling good about that. And I still feel like we had a lot of the core pieces, like Giannis obviously was huge, and I'm a huge K-Mid fan. I think he's great. Always thought he was very underrated. And I will be honest with you though, dude. I don't know that I expected them to win the whole thing. I really I felt very scared about Brooklyn.
Yep.
You know, but with just with their players, with KD and Kyrie and Harden, I mean that's a tough top three. I mean, obviously the fact that they lost Kyrie, you know, was a big piece in that playoff run. But we still had to beat. You know, we were one toe away from losing to KD, and I think, you know, we played them real hard, and I was real proud of the team. But at the end of the day, yeah, like you to answer your question about expectations, I knew, obviously we all knew they'd make the playoffs and they'd be one of the higher seeds, but I was skeptical. I was a little skeptical. I'm always trying to stay positive, but I'm very realistic. You know, I don't like to sit here and be like, hey, my team's the best no matter what. You know, I love them the best. Don't get me wrong, but I'm also I take it so hard when they lose that I don't want to sit there and be like they're going all the way because I protect myself. But yeah, did I expect a championship run? I'm not sure, but I thought that they had a shot to go deep in the playoffs. So I definitely thought that. What about you? What did you think?
Me and you are very identical because I'm the same way. Like, you're not going to catch me rooting harder for any other team,
right?
You know, or any other player. I've been a defender of Chris Middleton. I started this podcast in April of this past year, and I remember my first 2 episodes, I defended Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. And I'm kind of with you though. When you look at the Eastern Conference, you look at this Milwaukee Bucks team, and really you look at Wisconsin. Outside of the Packers 2011 Super Bowl, we went a decade of waiting for that shoe to fall, so to speak. You know, waiting for what's going to happen. How are we going to lose? I'll be honest with you. I thought the Bucks, obviously prior to this year, best chance at a championship was 2019, as you talked about.
Didn't that feel like the year? Yeah,
felt like the year. You go up 2-0. You dominate the first 2 games against Toronto, and then you lose that game 3, and you lose it in overtime. A game you could have won.
A big game,
and it felt like, as a Wisconsin fan, as a Milwaukee fan, it felt like, damn, that was the one.
The wind was out of your sails.
Because then you see, like you said, you see Kyrie Irving go to Brooklyn, and then Kevin Durant, and then they acquired James Harden midseason, and you're like, well,
now we're in trouble. Now we're in trouble.
That was fun, yeah. But so the Bucks knew what they were doing. So in February, they acquired PJ Tucker.
Right.
Your thoughts on that trade at that time?
Yeah, you know what's funny about that is I was kind of in the minority in the sense that there was a lot of people complaining, kind of being like, he's washed up, you know, who's he, blah, blah. But I remember him from I believe he played for the Rockets. Is that right?
Yep.
I remember him from the Rocket days, you know, those corner threes, but really the grit, I think, is the biggest thing I remember with PJ. And obviously, and I knew this before, you know, Milwaukee knew it. I mean, you know, people like you and me who are like, true sports fans probably knew this stuff, but I was really excited to have somebody who is gritty. You know, because I just think he talks all the time about dogs. And he said, you already got dogs. And I hear what he's saying, but he's definitely a dog, you know, and as far as when it comes to both sides of the basketball, and, you know, offensively, you know, he's not meant to get us 20 points a game, but as far as defensively, like the way he played on Durant, the way he played on, you know, Trey, even sometimes, I mean, that was, I mean, look at how good that trade ended up being for us.
Absolutely.
I mean, he was huge, dude. In that playoff run, you could not underestimate what he did that didn't show up in the stat sheet. The guy, it was a big deal. That dude was a big deal. I'm telling you, people underestimate that. He's a big deal.
No, I have a theory, and I was on with a guy, Alex Stroh from ESPN last week, And I said, I have a weird theory. And you know how everything kind of happens for a reason. I'm a big believer in, and everything happens, even if we don't agree with it I believe in a higher power. And I always think that
I'm the same way. Yeah.
Everything kind of happens for a reason. And I told him, I said, if back in November, we were all upset when Bogdanovich trade got nixed. Like we were furious,
I was upset, yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
I know I was, you were, there's so many others. If that trade doesn't get nixed and the NBA doesn't cancel it,
right?
I don't think, Ben, that the Milwaukee Bucks go out and get PJ Tucker.
Yeah,
and I think
that's a good point.
I think they do not beat Brooklyn without PJ Tucker.
It's a very good point. I never thought about it that way. It's a very good point. PJ Tucker to me was bigger in that Brooklyn series than Bogdanovich could have been.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because defensively, that's what we needed. I mean, sure, Durant put up points. Don't get me wrong, but every point was tough. There weren't many. Even the bucket he made to go into overtime in that Game 7 was ridiculous. I mean, I mean, it was
guarded. He was being guarded. I mean,
the defense was great. He just made it great. I mean, you can't ask for more than that. And I never thought about that, dude. It's a very good point. It's a very good point.
Yeah, I sit here and I kind of wonder, and I got into. Somebody made a comment to me. I call Twitter and Facebook the dark world, the dark web. Sorry, the dark web.
Dark web, yeah.
Yeah, because that's, I mean, as we all know, that's basically what it is. But they were talking about, what would, could you imagine if we had Bogdan? And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, I don't know if the Bucks make a trade for PJ Tucker because where are you going to put? They play the same position, and I really do believe that. Yeah, Kevin Durant did what he did, but he earned every bucket in that series with Brooklyn. I mean, he was exhausted.
Yeah,
at that end of that Game 7, he airballed the go ahead shot, and I really don't know if they beat Brooklyn without PJ Tucker. And I think the Bucks knew what they were doing. Obviously, shout out to the ownership group and John Horst, just a fantastic job. So they beat Miami. We all kind of assumed that was going to happen. Right. We talked about Brooklyn. They get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I know in my head that we're better than Atlanta.
Right.
But that Game 1 got me mad. What were your thoughts going into that?
Well, what was funny about that game is that all the news stories just to come out about me being this good luck charm. I was on every news station. Everybody was talking about it. Like all my family was calling me, talking about it. I was sitting there at the game. I just had told my family that we were expecting our 4th child. Everybody was excited. It was a big moment for us. And I'm thinking, just like you're thinking, this is great. We're playing Atlanta. I know Trae Young's a beast. Don't get me wrong, but we're playing Atlanta. And my wife and I go to the game. She's who I bring to most of the games. And we're sitting there and we're watching. I'm thinking to myself, man, I really hope they don't take this first game for granted because it's kind of, and then obviously it goes the way it goes. And we literally sat there in our seats staring at the court with like tears in our eyes a little bit, just staring, being like, I cannot believe that just happened. If we end up losing, and of course, how much crap am I going to get from people for being the good luck charm?
They're like, you are no longer allowed in this building anymore,
like,
man.
You know what? Hey, you know what? At the end of the day, the Bucks stuck with me though, and the rest is history, as they say. But I'll take one loss on my record to get all the way. I don't care what it takes. But yeah, that was a tough day. I'm not gonna lie, that was a tough day.
Congratulations, by the way. I was unaware of that.
Congratulations. We just thank you. Yeah, we just announced it. Yeah, that was Game 1 is when we announced it on the
awesome. Well, we
announced it on the news. It was like a surprise I did for my family.
That's awesome. We're so going in with Atlanta, you lose Game 1, the Bucks win Game 2, the Bucks win Game 3, and you're like, okay.
Yeah,
finally, like now we can kind of roll here. Let me kick my feet up. Let me enjoy. Because I look at my girlfriend, you're friends with Denise, and I look at her and I go, I just stare at her and I just shake my head. And she goes, what's wrong? I go, they're just not enjoyable. Like I'm so stressed out. And then I watch Giannis in what I thought was a season-ending.
How did you not think that?
Injury? You're watching that. What's going through your head?
Yeah, so I was at the Deer District that night. I don't know if you knew this, but I was singing at all the Deer District games, the away games as well, which was awesome. I love doing that, by the way. And I actually brought a buddy with me, and we didn't always stay for the games. We would go watch because it's crowded there. I'm not as young as all those people who are standing up the whole time. So we actually went back to his place. He's got a projection screen. We watched it there, and we were sitting there with our jaws dropped when he went down with that injury, and we were I straight up sick. Like he had food there. And hey, I'm not a small guy, and he had food there, and I couldn't eat it. I was that depressed.
I don't blame you.
It was such a depressing situation, and like you said, I mean, who didn't? I mean, everybody on Twitter, everywhere, like you said, the dark web, everywhere was talking about how it was done. I mean, even if they can beat Atlanta, Giannis is done. He won't be back maybe until after next year. Like, it was done. You know,
I won't lie to you. I cried. And anybody that follows me on Twitter or listens to the show or knows me in person knows how much I love Giannis.
Oh yeah.
And I sat there, I slammed my hand on a kind of shelf. I was mad. You know, and then I yelled out loud. I said, "Why does this always happen to it? Like, out of anybody?"
Sports.
And not only, you're right, but not only that, but like for Giannis, like he's done nothing to anybody. You know what I mean?
It's like couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, right? That's
like, and I remember sitting on the couch and I'm like, "That's it." Like,
we all said that. Yeah.
And then the next morning, I remember I had to drive my aunt to. She had surgery on her wrist, so me and my mom and her drove out to Grafton to go for the surgery. And I remember, this is going to sound really dramatic, and I don't mean this at all.
I'm dramatic, brother. I'm a dramatic singer.
My mood that day was like I just lost a friend or a loved one.
Yeah.
You know, I was so down in the dumps. I was so disappointed. And then the news came out at 2, 3 o'clock the afternoon that it wasn't, there was no damage. And I go, how? Like, and then the Bucks go on to win the Eastern Conference Finals. A task that they haven't done since 1974, and you're like, okay, but now we're unsure of Giannis. Going into Game 1 of the NBA Finals, what were your thoughts? What were your feelings going into Game 1?
Yeah, of course, me having, and I'm certainly not a big deal at all, but I have a little bit of insider information just in the sense that I'm part of the organization in a way. And so I'm thinking, can I get some info from somebody, maybe some insider info? And honestly, everybody was in the same boat. Nobody. And again, I know some people and nobody knew anything. Everybody was like, there's a chance that he could play in this series. And that was enough for me. I didn't even care. If he can't play Game 1 or 2, whatever, if he could somehow come back when we come home, that would have been ideal for me in my mind. And I'm thinking that's a win if he can come back. Because the other part of it, besides the fact that I really want my team to win, because I do, and you kind of alluded to this a little bit, is you feel bad for Giannis because this dude has gone through so much in his life, and all he wants is a championship, and all he wants is to bring a championship to Milwaukee, as he says, the right way.
Yeah.
And here they make it here, and they win the last 2 games without him very admirably, and then now he's not going to be able to play in the finals, and you're thinking, man, just somehow get this guy out there. I don't care if he's on crutches. Let him be in for a couple minutes so he could say that he played in the finals, know. And then I was at the Deer District Game 1. And we were back there, and we got the news kind of right before everybody else did, saying, "Okay, he's gonna play." And we let the whole front row of the Deer District know he's playing. And we were
awesome.
Jumping up and down, and then we were waiting for when it was going to show on the screen, because we obviously were waiting for the whole crowd to cheer, and that's exactly what happened. They showed it on the screen, and the whole crowd went nuts. We were all just like, "Are you kidding me? He's starting. He's playing!" Like, it was just such a memorable moment and such a cool moment, and I was so happy for Giannis more than anything.
I couldn't believe I couldn't believe it, Ben. I couldn't believe it.
Unbelievable.
I couldn't.
Unbelievable.
And then you look at. We do a family vacation every year. We were up in the Wisconsin Dells. And I remember watching the Game 1, and we were there for Game 1 and Game 2. I remember watching both of those games, and they lost, obviously, the story everybody knows. And I remember just sitting there like just happy, not too upset. I was a little bit after Game 2 because I thought that was a game that they could have won.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I remember just being like, number one, I'm happy that Giannis is playing. That was my first thought.
Right.
I'm happy he's not going to miss the following year with injury.
Right.
And then I was happy. I was like, my team's in the NBA Finals.
Yeah. Now I can enjoy at least a little. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if they lose, it sucks, but
they made it.
So they go down 0-2 back to Milwaukee. You're there, front and center.
Yep.
Game 3, I have to let you know now, and I know she's listening right now. My mom, she tears up almost every time she hears you sing. And I know you probably get that a lot, but she loves the national anthem, and you do. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention her.
What's her name?
My mom's name is Lisa.
Lisa, you're way too kind. I really appreciate that.
she, she'll sit there. We'll be in the deer district, and she'll be like drying her eyes.
Oh,
and
man, that's crazy. Lisa, you might have to get your ears checked, but I really appreciate that.
And there she is. She's watching over on Facebook. So you go back to game 3.
Appreciate that.
To game 3, the Bucks are down 0-2. In your opinion, as the fan,
yeah,
what are your thoughts being down 0-2?
I don't even want to admit it.
Because I had the same thoughts you did, probably, Ben.
Well,
I had the same one.
Well, my thoughts were, sweet, we're gonna get swept.
Yeah,
I was only because you and I both have been through a lot of Wisconsin sport heartbreaks. The biggest heartbreak in my entire life was the Seahawk game against the Packers. I talk about it everywhere I go because that thing just wrecked me to my core, and I still don't feel over it. But I'm telling you, dude, it was. I
believe you. I know. I laugh because I know the feeling.
Yeah, you can ask my family. I mean, some of the things I did after that game, I was laying in the snow with my shirt off. I couldn't get over it. I was so depressed. But what I was going to say was, because of those disappointments, I couldn't help but think 4-0, because I'm thinking we're here. Leave it to us. We're so excited. I'm so excited. We're gonna lose 4-0 because we can't have anything nice in Wisconsin.
we were preparing for it, and then
it's honestly more of a defense mechanism. It's not. I don't know that I necessarily even believe that's true that they would go down, that they would lose 4-0, but it's a defense mechanism. I just want to win so bad that I'll do whatever it takes to protect my brain from getting hurt.
and that's kind of people say I'm so negative.
Yeah,
and I'm like, dude, like, it's been a decade of heartbreak, like it really has. And then they're like, well, you hear the other people and they're like, well, you're lucky you're there. I'm like, listen, I would rather lose 16 games in a Packers season than lose while you're up like 19-3.
Right, that is
NFC
exactly
championship
the truth. Because I'm still not over it. That's what happens. The year where they were terrible and they lost to the Lions that last game 40-0, whatever it was, whatever year that was, I can't remember. It was a couple years ago. I'm over that. I ain't over that Seahawks loss. I'm not over that Seahawks loss.
No, it's still it's very it stings. It still does. That's for sure.
But then you know what happened? We were sitting there, and honestly, part of me wasn't sure if I was going to be singing the finals, because the NBA makes some rules with celebrities and stuff. And at this point, my celebrities, obviously, am I a celebrity? No, like, it's like whatever. I mean, I guess people keep saying I am, but I'm like, eh. But you know what I mean, like Grammy award winning, that sort of thing. And so we were sitting there, and then I got the call, and I was ecstatic, and then I got an email from the guy who's in charge over at Pfizer. His name is Johnny. He's the one who's had my back the whole way, and he's just a fantastic dude. And he's just a great guy. And he sent this email to the staff, or sort of like the people that are kind of in the same sort of category as I am, like entertainers, that sort of thing. And he wrote this big email about how incredible it is to be in this position, and how amazing, how lucky we are, and how happy we should be, and just enjoy the moment, and take pictures and take selfies, and do what you can. Obviously do your job that you have to do there, but do this. And then he put in an inspirational video at the bottom, and I watched it, and it was just like an inspirational thing, like some speech I think Giannis was giving or something like that. And when he sent that, my attitude changed. I was just like, man, that dude is a boss, that Johnny, to send that. I was like, what a boss
seriously.
thing to do. Yeah. And it just changed my opinion. And I was like, I was with my family at the time, my mom and dad, I think my wife, and I think I told him, I can't remember exactly how it went down, but I told him what he sent, and I was like, this is just, we're going to win some of these games. That's what I said. I was like, because I'm like you just said, I'm the same way. I'm negative because I'm protective. But as soon as I got that, I was like, you know what? Screw this negativity. Let's go and let's win some. And he really, that guy, I give him a lot of credit. Shout out to Johnny. That was awesome.
That's awesome. It gives me goosebumps, honestly, just listening to you say that. Yeah,
talking about it,
I can imagine.
I haven't told that story really, and just me telling it right now, I'm like, man, goosebumps.
No, seriously. So the Bucks win. I'm like you. So down 0-2. I'm like, okay, well, it was fun.
It was fun while lasting.
And then they win game 3, and then my mindset's completely different.
Right.
And then they go to game 4 and the block.
Right.
It'll go down in history books. We'll tell our great grandkids.
Yeah, I will.
It'll be one of those things that we live for forever. And then they win game 5, and they're one win away, Ben,
Oh,
from an NBA championship, and they're coming home to the Fiserv Forum. How excited were you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was excited for the sake of that, but I was also excited for the sake that I was going to be there if they could win.
Right.
Because I was singing that game if they could win there. And I did a lot of news that week, that the day before, you know, because obviously it was clinching and they knew I was going to be singing. So I did every news station there was. And I did one on sports radio at 1250.
Yep.
Which I'm a big fan of. And Sparky said, how does it feel that you have the opportunity to possibly be singing for a game clinching NBA Finals championship with a team that you love that hasn't won in 50 years? And when he said it, it's like, oh my gosh.
It hits you a little bit.
It hit me a lot of it. I was like, are you serious? Like, then I got a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie. But I was like, but at the same time, I'm like, how exciting. And you just knew how crazy it was. And, you know, and it's funny because I went down to the Deer District the morning before the game day. So the game day was a Tuesday, and I went down to the Deer District last Monday, way early in the morning, like 5 a.m, because that's when I started my interviews. And the Deer District, the TV was down. And I'm like, what? I was like, are they going to get rid of the Deer District before game 6? Like, what's going on? And then I texted my boss. I said, what is going on with the Deer District? And he texted me, he said, oh, don't worry. We're just getting it bigger. We're making it bigger for more people to come in, because they had to turn people away for game 5. They couldn't let everybody in there. So, I mean, just such a cool, that was just, the feeling, the excitement and the nerves all at the same time was just amazing.
Yeah. I went down there. I went down to the Deer District 3 times throughout the playoffs. I did one game against, they played Atlanta.
Nice.
And then I was there for the watch party, actually in the Fiserv Forum for game 5 when the alley-oop to win game 5. And then game 6,
nice.
Game 6, we were down there outside where the old Bradley Center was.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So game 6 comes around. If you guys haven't, if you're watching this show, or if you're listening, wherever you may get your podcasts, the Bucks released a mini, it's like a mini movie, I guess is what it's called, on their YouTube channel. And I wasn't there. I want you to speak on it from your experience. Yeah. From my point of view, watching it on TV, you couldn't, you know how it is in the Deer District. You can't really, you gotta move around every couple of seconds. But watching that YouTube video that the Bucks did post yesterday, the electricity in the building, like, what was that like, man? Like, take me through game 6. Our Milwaukee Bucks are 1 win. They're 48 minutes away from being champions, and you're about to sing the national anthem on one of the most watched NBA finals in the last 10 years. What was it like?
I mean, well, even you just saying that gave me goosebumps again. But what happened was, when we got in there, and again, I brought my wife again, because she's good luck too. And when we went in there, you know, I was nervous, because I do get nervous before every time I sing. It's just automatic. It's even if I sing in front of a small crowd, I get nervous.
Right.
It's just the way it is. Even when I would sing for the Olive Garden people, that's where I knew Denise from, and I would get nervous for that. I just get nervous every time. And when we were in there, you know, I had to get there way early, and there's no fans or anything. But I was talking to the staff, and there was just this electricity. And then as soon as fans started coming in, and as soon as, like, you know, 5 minutes before I was going to sing, it was just so packed. And the game had, you know, a lot of times when you get these games, like, people are trickling in, sort of, you know how it goes. I mean, we've all been there, like, where you sort of, you know, the game might start at 7 and the crowd won't get full till about 7:10 or 7:15, maybe even 7:30. But we're sitting there, and this game was at, what was it, 8 o'clock or something? I think it was 8 o'clock.
Yep.
And people were trickling. It was like everybody was in already at 7:55 or 7:50. And it was literally like, I've talked about and seen electricity in an audience before. This was a whole new level, man. It was like everything was on fire. Everybody was jacked. Everybody thought this was it. It's like, it's as if a lightning literally struck the Fiserv Forum. It was incredible. And when I was getting up there to sing, it's like, I was talking to Christian Yelich. We were literally talking like we were buddies. I was just talking to him. I was talking to people, because there was all kinds of celebrities. I was talking to Dave Chappelle. We were just chatting, and we were all talking about how
incredible.
we were. Yeah, it was so incredible. And so then I go up to my spot, and I'm just like, man, we are here right now. Like, this is it. And, you know, and then I sang, and I was feeling really good about the way I sang, and the crowd was going wild the whole time I was singing. It was really loud, which I love, by the way. Like, even when they announced my name, the crowd went wild. It was so cool. And then from the minute that national anthem started to the end of that game was just the crowd. We were on our feet the whole time. You know, I've
That's
never seen that.
crazy.
I mean, you've heard of that, but I've
Yeah.
never really seen that. And hey, listen, I get tired. I want to sit down. I didn't sit down much. I was on my feet the whole time, and my wife was too, and she's pregnant. I mean, we were sitting there on our feet the whole time, just having the time of our lives. That second quarter we didn't love, but other than that, we had the time of our lives, man. It was just incredible.
Yeah, that second quarter, the Deer District, and we'll get your thoughts on the Deer District.
Yeah.
The TMJ4 reported that there was 100,000 people down there, and I completely believe it because we got there.
You were down there game 6.
We were down there at game 6.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
We picked up my mom, Denise, and my girlfriend Denise. For those that don't know, me and Denise picked up my mom, and we went straight. She got out of work at about 3:30, and we went straight down there because I didn't know I wasn't sure, so we got a real good parking spot.
Nice.
And then the Deer District was kind of just open. They said it wasn't going to open till 6.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was planned.
I think they were just saying that to sort of make sure it wasn't get too crazy too early. But really, they were going to let it.
Yeah, because we walked in and then I look around and I'm like you said earlier, there was another TV. They moved on another street, over. They added another TV over there. I forgot the street name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
McKinley, I think it was off of. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, we're in the Deer District. My mom was like, I thought it didn't open until 6. I'm like, I bet you they probably just opened it because it's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you feel about the Deer District. I can't stand for like long periods of time because I have a bad back, and I
got the same problem.
It was electric. You're talking like an hour and a half wait for the bathrooms though. It was packed.
That's crazy.
It was insane. So okay, the Bucks win game 6 in just such a fitting way. Stress us out all the way till the end. And the Bucks win the championship, and that clock hits 0.0.
Yeah.
What for me, I remember just sitting there like I didn't know how to act. I didn't know what to think. I was obviously happy. Mm-hmm. What were your feelings after that?
Yeah, it was like, well, my wife and I were crying. We were hugging each other literally in the stands crying, and all the fans were going nuts. So we literally were legitimately crying. I mean, it was what a ride. I mean, here we culminated everything into a victory of this game 6, and then we knew that we would have the opportunity to go on the floor. And so I was actually
making me jealous more.
Yeah,
it's okay. Casual conversations with Christian Yelich, hanging out with Giannis's mom on the floor. It's cool, Ben. Keep going. Keep going.
Hey, I got to rub it in a little bit.
I'm happy for you, man. Hey, I really am happy for you. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. But and I don't take any of it for granted. I say it like it's no big deal. It is a big deal to me. Like to talk to Yelich and to talk to Dave Chappelle and to talk to Giannis like I got to, and talk to Chris, and I don't take it. I say it like it's not a big deal, but I really don't take it for granted at all. But anyway, we got to go on the court is what I'm saying, and it was just I think my emotions were I was so tired but so happy tired. It was like, because like you said, they love to stress us out. They love to stress us out.
It was, man. It was stressful.
The whole way I was, and and of course, I had this whole lore of being a good luck charm. So it's like the whole time I'm even more stressed because I'm just like, so I'm just very, very happy when it's over, all said and done. And it's like, it's one of those things where when it was all over, and it's only been a week, but when it's all over, it's like I keep telling people, this is no matter whatever happens in my career, in my life, or even your life too. But me, just because I was able to be a part of it, no matter what happens in my life, I'll always have this. It doesn't matter if I do nothing else with singing tomorrow, because I'm always trying to, I'm trying to hit it big like everyone else, like with singing, and I've been doing it for a long time, whatever. If I don't sing another note in my life, this was just the most amazing. I mean, how, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I was thinking after we won that game. I'm like, we finished it. Yeah. After all of this stuff we talked about, and all this like good luck stuff or whatever, and we finished it, and we got to finish it with a victory for a fourth game victory in the NBA final. That's just incredible. It's incredible.
I remember looking at my mom, and we all hugged, and we were all I was crying. I thought I was done crying, and then the Bucks released the video yesterday, and I cried some more.
That all access thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I remember sitting there. We celebrated. I bought the hat. I bought the shirts. I spent way too much money.
I know, right?
And I remember sitting there like, and I told my mom, I said, I'm almost, as much as I am happy, as much as I'm enjoying this, I'm almost relieved that it's over.
That kind of makes sense.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
bit.
okay, now I can relax. I can breathe a little bit.
Right.
Every game is stressful. Even when they win by 20, you just, it's always stressful.
You're so right. You're so right.
So no big deal. Ben parties with Giannis. He hangs out with Christian Yelich. Dave Chappelle says what's up to him. The Bucks win the championship. They celebrate. How soon did they approach you about the celebration following that championship win?
Yeah, so it's funny. They have to plan. You know how that goes. It's a big deal. They have to plan. So they actually plan. They were actually planning that for a little bit. And they told me a couple days before we even won Game 6 that if we win Game 6, the parade will probably be Thursday. That's what they told me, and I wasn't allowed to tell anybody because you never know.
Oh, for sure.
And,
yeah.
But they're also, it's hard because we're superstitious people. I mean, I'm a little superstitious. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, even though I'm like you, I believe in higher power. I'm a Christian guy, so I'm a God guy, and I do think everything happens for a reason. But I am superstitious, so I don't like to jinx it, as they say. And so I'm sitting here being like, I don't want to talk about a parade because I'm too nervous. Like I want to win first.
How I was
talk about the parade, But yeah, I actually found out about it before. Yeah.
That's remarkable, which is funny too, because like you said, the Bucks planned for this. And obviously I'm a big 1250 guy. I had Sparky on my show plenty of times. He had Peter. Yeah, they're awesome. He had Peter Fagan on his show, and it was Monday. And he was like, "Oh, we're already planning for the parade." And I'm like, "Oh,
I'm like, shut, bro.
Come on, man! Like, don't do this to us. Like, come on." So I got kind of like you. I got super nervous.
Yeah, we're like, keep your mouth shut. Just don't
win the game. And you heard Giannis talk about it too. He said, "We haven't won. We got to remain." That's when he came out with the quote about
Giannis.
And
definitely.
So the celebration. Did you ride? I was at the. We got a video here we're going to play in a minute too. I was at the stage. Did you ride on a bus throughout the parade?
No. So that anybody that had entertainment, so like me and the like some of the guys who were like in charge of the stage area, the ceremony, like the actual ceremony area, not the parade route. Like we had to be there early because you got to do sound checks and you had to make sure you're in place. So because it was kind of one of those things where they were kind of like, well, you can either be in the parade or perform. And I was like, well, I'll perform. You know what I mean? Because I mean, the parade's cool, but I'd rather do what I did.
Oh, for sure. Speaking of what you did, if I do not mess this up, if you guys are tuning in, maybe you've seen this video. This is courtesy of the Bucks. I do want to play it. I'm going to try to not cry because when I hear your voice, when I hear the words that you're singing and I see the players that are celebrating, it brings so much joy to me. I'm going to play it right here. If you guys did miss this, check this out.
Keep on fighting till the end. We are the champions. We are the champions. No time for losing. 'Cause we are the champions of the world.
I was sitting, I'm trying not to get worked up right now. I was sitting a handful of rows back.
Cool.
You did such a great job out there. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. It means so much to have you on this podcast and to have kind of talk to you a little bit about, your experience. You're on stage with the world champion Milwaukee Bucks. You got Giannis giving you a hug. His mom's up there. You got, PJ Tucker's half in the bag. What was that experience like? Like, just talk me through that whole experience.
Yeah, it was, I wasn't sure how it was going to go for the parade day. The We Are the Champions thing was sort of more of a last minute deal. I actually reached out to that same Johnny guy and I said, hey man, like, I can actually sing like Freddie Mercury. I don't know if you ever heard me do that. That's what I said to him. I was like, but I can actually do it. Like, if you'd want me to sing it at the end, I would. And he said, yes, let's do it.
That's
and
awesome.
that's literally how that went. And then obviously it turned out to be like a huge, awesome thing. But the feeling that I had when I started singing that song, and all of a sudden I looked to my left and there's Giannis. Like,
bro, I couldn't even imagine.
And I was like, you can, and here's what's funny about that video. If you listen to the end, I'm very picky about my voice because I'm a perfectionist when it comes to singing. It's just what it is. But when you hear me singing, we are the champion, no time for losers, cause we are that line right there, you can hear a little bit of choke in my way, because I'm starting to tear up a little bit, because this dude is like literally he's next to me with his MVP trophy.
Yeah.
And I got my arm around him. He's got his arm around me, and I'm like, and we're in front of, like 400,000 people plus, and then all the TVs and everything, and it was just such a surreal moment, and then he gave me a hug, and he had his head on my shoulder, and it was like unbelievable, and I'm like, why me? I'll take it, but I mean, this is so incredible.
That's so amazing.
And then I got to, again, sorry to make you feel bad, but I got to chill on the stage, and and I was talking to PJ wasn't half in the bag, he was full in the bag.
I know.
But
he was nuts, man. He was fun.
But he's fun, and he's been through a lot, and he deserves it. He's a great guy. But I was talking to Bobby, who had the WWE belt, and we were making jokes about that. And I was talking to Brooke, who's a really nice, cool, like funny guy. He's funny. He's really like,
he seems very pure. They all do.
Very much so. Yeah. He's very like, he's a jokester. He's funny, and then and even talking to some of those guys who didn't get to play much, like on the bench and stuff like that, and everybody was just so happy to be there. It didn't matter if you played, didn't matter if you were Giannis the MVP, or if you were, I don't know any of those. I'm trying to think of names, but any of those guys who are like on the bench, like Diakite, is what I'm thinking of. That was the name I was thinking on. He's a really cool guy. But any of those guys were so happy to be there, and to be on that stage in that moment with all that confetti flying, and I got hit in the mouth with some in the middle of my song.
I saw that because the wind all took it. Yeah,
I said, choke me with it. I don't care. Like, it's so exciting. I'll take it all. This is so exciting. And then I got to talk to Coach Bud for a while, and we were and he was giving me, and the thing I talked to everybody about the Bucks is that I've been around a lot of celebrities, people in my life, just being in this thing, and they are just unbelievably deserving and good people. I mean, these Bucks players, I've met LeBron James because I sang a Laker game. I met KD multiple times, and these guys are they're fine. I'm not dissing them, but I'm just saying that the Bucks are just such good people. Like every one of them, like Drew Holiday, his wife had like major cancer a couple years ago, and they started a fund, and she had a tumor, and I talked to her after the game, and we met their kids, and they were very sweet, and she was very complimentary of my national anthem. She remembered that, she said, "You're the good
Olympic gold medalist."
Olympic gold medalist, exactly. I'm telling you, dude, these people are unbelievable. And obviously, the main three that you think of, obviously Middleton, Holiday, and Giannis, are all such good people. And
that's
so
awesome.
you can't underestimate that, and that's just perfect example of what Milwaukee's all about. You know what I mean? So that's just that's what excites me the most out of all this. The deserving, those guys are never going to forget it. They all respect it, and they know how hard it is to be there, and they're happy to be there. It's awesome.
I think Charles Barkley summed it up best. He said, if you have a problem with the person who Giannis is, you have a you problem.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah,
it's basically.
I'm a Charles fan. I like what he says, and you know what? He's so right. He's so right.
So I know I popped it up on the screen, but I do got to read this out loud for you. I don't know if you were able to see it. My mom dropped in a comment. She's watching over on Facebook. You can follow us on Facebook at Brew City Pod. She goes, "I'm so happy for you, Ben, that you got to experience that. You deserve it." So I just got to make sure.
Thank you, so that's super nice. Thank you.
We got about 10 minutes left. Yeah. Is it okay? I'm putting you on the spot here now. Everybody's going to expect you to answer this.
Yeah.
Is it okay if we have some questions that came pouring in?
Oh yeah.
People that are watching. If you're okay with,
I'm happy to answer questions. Yeah. Let's go.
So, my mom. We'll start off with my mom.
Lisa.
She says, "How did you get the honor?" It's kind of a two-part question.
Yeah.
How did you get the honor of singing for the Bucks, and how does it feel to be part of making history?
Oh gosh, what a good question, Lisa. That's a great question. Well, to get the honor, so basically, I have been, and it's a great, somebody brought it up to me today in a very good point. It's a great testament to people that are trying to do something. You're trying to do something with this podcast and I'm trying to do something with my music or whatever. And it's a great testament in the sense that if you put in the hard work and you keep going, you never know. Because I started doing this 6 years ago. The year I started doing this was when we had that like 14 win season, wherever it was, 13, however. I can't remember how many wins it was, but it was terrible.
15, yeah, it was horrible.
15, thank you.
Yeah.
15, yeah, I got it wrong. But that season, but I was still happy to be there. I was still very happy to be there because, this, to me, this is an honor no matter what. And it was like one of the first years Giannis was there and everything else. And I worked, I kept doing it, and they kept asking me back. They kept asking me to do bigger and bigger games. And then I basically have been doing the playoff. Every time they've made the playoffs in the past 6 or 7 years, I've been at the I've been singing the playoffs. And so this year just happened to be like, we won against Miami that first game in overtime, and a lot of things sort of went our way in that game. And so they were sort of like, hey, let's just try this again. Let's see if maybe there's some good luck going here. And then the next game we played and we won by like 30 or 40 or whatever it was. And so then they were like, we're going to keep this guy. And that's kind of how that happened, Lisa. It was a very, it was a very cool thing for me. And then after that, it was like, good luck charm, good luck charm, good luck charm. And it, I had to get there with my talent in the first place to get the gig. But then it turned into, this part of it turned into some good luck stuff, and it was incredible. And what was the second part of the question again?
How does it? You kind of elated to it throughout the podcast. You said, how does it feel to be a part of making history with the Bucs?
Yeah, it's and that's my favorite part. It's like you mentioned before. We're going to be telling our kids and our grandkids about this forever. I mean, how exciting is that to be able to say, for me to be a part of this history, and I felt like I was a part of the team, and that's incredible. I can't even believe that. Like I'm so ecstatic and happy about that I can't even put it into words. It makes me tear up just thinking about it because it's such a cool, no one can take that away from me no matter what, that I was able to do that. And, I praise God for it. I'm really, really happy for that.
Absolutely. Brittany, she's over on Facebook. She says, what game were you the most nervous to sing at in the finals? And can you go sing at Packer games?
So I'm working on the Packers. I think there's a pretty good shot. We'll see. I think they're still working on. I got a couple. There's a good shot. Let's put it that way. There's nothing in the book, so I'm not going to say that. But there's a good shot.
Well, when you become friends with Aaron Rodgers, then
no doubt.
Then we're gonna have a problem, Ben.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, I saw his interview today. So the most nervous game I was to sing at was Game 3.
Okay.
The finals, the first home game, and that's because I went in there. I had to get there really early, like I always do, and I went in there. So before every game, we have to get COVID tested, just because if you're near the court. It makes sense. They're trying to protect their players. So anybody courtside or anybody near the court has to COVID test. So I was getting COVID tests for every game. And as soon as my COVID test was over, I went into the stadium, and there's nobody in there except for a couple, maybe TV people. And my handler comes up to me and she says, Did you hear? And I said, what? And she's like, you're going to be on national TV, And
God.
I was like, because I wasn't sure, because sometimes they didn't air all of my anthems on national TV. They did. The Game 3 was they aired them on TV, but not necessarily nationally and globally for that matter.
Right.
It's like you're going to be on over 200 countries and almost 1 billion people. And I was like, and so as soon as she said that, I lost my breath. I started tearing up. I was like, wow, this is a moment, and I had like 4 hours to wait before I got to sing, And so after she told me that, it's like I did my warm up for the ABC. I did my warm up with the ABC, and then I'm sitting there in this chair just waiting for 4 hours before I get to sing.
My goodness.
And the whole time just building up more and more nerves, building up more and more, just thinking I'm going to be singing in front of like literally 1 billion people right now. And I know they're all expecting to see like John Legend or something, and they're seeing me instead. And when I walked up there, I was shaking. I was really nervous. And then as soon as they called my name and they said, Eric Jensen, who's the PA announcer, great guy. I love that guy. He said, and now a Milwaukee native who sung every Bucks game this playoffs, and everybody cheered really loud when he said that. And I right there just kind of put me in the moment, like, okay, I think I can get through this. I think I can do this. And I think it went okay. I really do. I think it went okay.
More than okay, Ben. That was fun. I mean, I remember watching that game at home, and obviously Denise and you go back, and I remember sitting here and I'm like, I'm not trying to be like biased. I said, but that's the best national anthem I've ever heard. Like, I've heard it a lot. I was in the Army for a long time. I heard it a lot.
Thank you.
And she's actually over on YouTube right now. She says, so proud of you, Ben. So happy for you. You're amazing.
Denise, you're the best. Thank you.
She has a question. She's afraid to ask it for whatever reason. She said, your favorite team to root for, you know, in the state, you know, if it's Packers, Bucks, or Brewers, what's your favorite? If you had to pick,
I get why she's afraid to ask it, because obviously you don't want to come off like you're, you know. I've always been a Packers guy. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, now don't get me wrong, Denise. I'm very into the three main sports: Packers, Bucks, and Brewers. Very much so. I bleed all those colors. But I would say my biggest one is probably the Packers. I just have always been very, very my Sundays are always, my whole life have been go to church and then watch Packers. Like I just love them. I look forward to every game. And now again, I love the Bucks and Brewers. I really do. I have a huge place in my heart for them. But the Packers, yeah, they swept me out. They
I'm with you.
When I was a kid, you know, I can't get over that.
So we got just two more, and then we'll get wrapped up here. Mark, he's over on YouTube. He says, your favorite non-athlete that you ever got the chance to meet or talk to?
That's a great question. Jeez. Wow, these guys got good ones.
They're coming at you, Ben. I
like it. I like it a lot. Favorite non-athlete. Let me think. Because it's funny because there's so many like athletes, but one of my favorite ones. I'll give you two.
Okay.
We'll do a 2-for-1. And this one might surprise some people, but
okay.
I met Taylor Swift. I was doing I know that's kind of funny. It's kind of random. I was singing a little backup for the Rolling Stones, who were very cool, by the way, as well. But I met Taylor Swift, and I'm not going to say I listen to her music, because I really don't. You know, and I don't have a problem with her at all. I just don't. But I met her, and she was like a guest star on the Rolling Stones tour. That's why she was there.
Okay.
And she was like very cool and very nice. And I was nobody. I was just a nobody. I was happened to sing a little bit back up at this tour in Chicago United Center. And she was like, she talked to me like I was on her level.
That's
it was like, I couldn't believe that. I was so shocked and humbled by it, because I was like, wow, like this girl who's a globe, you know, just a huge star, you know, her. And then the other one was I met Dennis DeYoung, who was the singer of Styx. I met him I think last year or 2 years ago. We did a concert together, and he was awesome. He talked to me about life and his career, and he was just very good to talk to. So those are probably two of my favorites. I know there's more,
That's
but
awesome.
I can't think of them in the moment, but those two were amazing.
Well, we had one more come in, so maybe this will be the last two. I promise.
I'm good. Ask away.
This is from Juan. He's over on Twitter following at Brew City Pod.
Okay.
How will you describe the Bucks championship run to the next generation of Bucks fans, say within the next 20 or so years?
Man, that's a great question, Juan. So how will I describe the championship run to the people over the next 20 years? I will describe it as, number one of the best experiences of my life, no matter what happens. But number two, an amazing ride, an amazing. I will. It's like kind of like I said to you before. Just the players, the people involved in it, the people that are so deserving of it. You know, so many times you see these celebrities or stars or whatever who get something that you just like, this guy doesn't deserve this. Like, he doesn't deserve all. Like, no one will say that about these guys. These guys deserve it, and I think that's what I'll preach the most. I mean, bringing a city together in a time with so much roughness around the world in general, and bringing a city together like that, and really even just the national anthem. Like, the national anthem has been a very divisive song for people, and people get mad about it. And hey, I'm very, everybody who knows me knows how much I respect veterans and the armed forces, and so it means a lot to me to do that song in the first place. But obviously, you and I both know that some people struggle with it for whatever reason. Yeah. I don't want to get into politics, but I'm just saying the fact that we could use something like that to bring this city together like that is like, that's going to be something that I'll tell people forever, that these guys, this group of people, were able to bring over 100,000 people at Game 6 together, which is like unprecedented, and everybody loved everybody. And
there was no color.
There was no color. There was no anything. There was no drama. It was just, we're all loving on this team together. We're all having a great time, and we're witnessing history as they say, history in the making. And that was just that's a great way to say that, because it's just like, that's exciting. That's what a cool moment. What a cool thing.
That gave me goosebumps right there, Ben. That was special, man. And you're absolutely right. Now here's the last question of the night. This is from Jesse. He's over on YouTube.
Okay.
I'm afraid to ask you this because I'm afraid to get jealous again. He goes, Ben, please tell me, it's kind of a statement / question. Please tell me you are getting a championship ring.
You know what's funny about that? I've been asked that by so many people, and I have no clue. I'm not gonna lie, I have no clue. Now, part of me wanted to ask my boss and be like, "Hey, if you're thinking if you're wondering who to give rings to," now I wouldn't be surprised. The way the Bucks have been good to me, I'm not gonna complain about them or anything. I would love a ring. That would be the bow on the top of this.
Oh yeah,
the top of this present, and I would never, I would cry. I know I would. If I had to guess, I'd say probably not. But hey, if we could start a petition, get that going. There's been that's probably the most commented thing that I've had since I've started this since we finished this whole thing. You better get this guy a ring. This is the man. Like, this is the reason.
Oh, you're getting one. You gotta be getting one. First off, like you said, like people, it starts from the top, man. From the ownership group, to Peter Fagan, to John Horst, to Coach Bud, all the way down. I can't imagine you're not going to get one. I hope and pray that you do get one.
Thank you.
You absolutely deserve it, man. You have been there from the start. You're the good luck charm, and so appreciative of you coming on this podcast, man.
This was great.
I really do. I man, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much from a fan watching afar. When Denise told me she knew you, I looked at her and I was like, no. And she's like, no, I do. I said, get him on my podcast. I said, let's try to get him on. Right before we get out of here for the show, is there anything you got going on coming, that you're doing maybe in the community, like, shows, or is there anything, summer or not Summerfest, State Fair? I mean, is there anything you're doing?
Actually, I have a possible Summerfest. We'll see, but I sort of have a one-man show that I'm sort of preparing, like a singing thing. I'll be going around town doing that sort of thing. And we're working on putting all that together at the moment. So nothing is necessarily in writing yet. It's all in the works, because we started the working it after, as soon as the finals ended, obviously just ended. But the one thing I will say is I sing at my church quite a bit, which is Spring Creek Church over on Capitol Drive. Okay. And I think it's a great place. I think it's a great church. I think it's a great place to go. And I've been going there my whole life, and I highly recommend going there. I sing there about twice a month, a lot of times doing solo work and that sort of thing. And that's a great place to catch me. But I'll be advertising a lot of stuff soon, and I'll make sure to be talking to you about it, Brandon, and I'll be make sure we can get that out. But I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to say something about that. But,
man, yeah, no, absolutely. I will, whatever you need me to do, I will push out. You can follow Ben on Twitter at BJ Tajnai. That's Tajnai.
That's right.
Follow him on Twitter. I'll probably tag him in so many posts after I cut up this show.
That'd be great.
That'll do it for today's show, guys. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at Wisco_Brandon. You can follow the show on all social media platforms at Brew City Pod. And please do not forget to subscribe wherever you may get your podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify, everywhere, basically, at Brew City Pod. Thank you, Ben, again, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for what you've done for the city, for the Bucks. You were the reason we won a championship, Ben.
Thank you, Brandon. Hey, it was really a pleasure, man. You're doing a great job. Thank you for having me on here. I really
thank you.
It.
And we'll talk to you very soon. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
You guys all have a great night. As always, go Bucks, go Brewers, be safe, Milwaukee, and I will talk to you guys